Everybody, it's me. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you can hear me. I'm trying to get this to where I can actually get it to work right. So I failed with the Apple headphones, but I'm trying another headphones with a microphone and such in them. So let's see how this goes. Can you hear me now? Yeah, you can hear me now. Yay! All right, we're still working on this. By the way, I'm trying out the Facebook Rooms, so I'm just doing it on my personal page right now. We'll probably do that here in the near future. So today's podcast is about the business challenges business challenges going on during the pandemic. A lot of businesses are facing challenges, as you can imagine, as you're probably more than well aware. Let me give you a brief thing about the challenges I faced. 2 weeks ago, this past Thursday, the plant that I was working at, Westrock in Forest City, laid a bunch of people off. The plant had 300 people working there. They laid off over 100 people. This was directly because of the coronavirus. Business demand went way down. It went through the basement, and corporate had no other choice. I'm not mad about it. I understand. It still hurts. But given the circumstances of what's going on right now, I knew it was coming. So I don't bear them any ill will. As a matter of fact, I'd love to go back there. I actually, in fact, this past Wednesday, interviewed with the Westrock plant in Marion. Now, for those of you who don't know, Westrock is primarily a corrugation cardboard company, but the plant I worked at in Forest City did merchandising displays because the company that Westrock bought out here was merchandising displays originally. It was originally called NC Displays and American Greetings and became Rock 10. And now it's now Westrock. I blanked there. Let me get off the rooms here for a minute because I don't think that's really working out right now. Let's get off that. Let's go to live and see how that works. Did we still have live on? There we do. We still have live on this. So let's see. Podcast going live. And I want to make sure I get it right. So I actually have this to where it's actually there. So let me move this down to where you can see it. Yeah, there we go. You'll probably get blinded by the light. For those of you joining us on my Facebook, it's not centered. Dean Bird's probably having a fit if he even was on my Facebook page. So, hey everybody. Let me turn the TV off. Didn't realize I had the TV still on. Okay, podcast I'm doing right now is basically it's about the business challenges being faced due to the pandemic, and I started off by talking about my personal challenges I've seen. What happened 2 weeks ago is I was laid off by the company I was working for, Westrock in Forest City. It was directly because of the pandemic, and I'm here to talk about the challenges businesses are going to be facing during this pandemic, both during and after. Now, let me get off my personal thing for a moment and go talk about the challenges businesses are facing right now and may very well face in the future. Let's talk about restaurants, first of all. I know some folks who own restaurants, who are working at restaurants, who have worked restaurants in the past. as of right now in North Carolina, you cannot have dine-in facilities. That will probably change on this coming Friday when Phase 2 is supposed to take effect. I know the governor said if things aren't to a certain degree, a certain level, that he may extend that deadline, or pushed it out. I don't think it's going to happen because this past Friday, South Carolina opened up dine-in, and from what I've gathered so far, it's going okay. Doesn't mean it'll stay that way, but it's going okay. Now, the last 2 months have been challenging for restaurants all over the place, as you can imagine. And the one thing about the whole thing is that they had to adapt quickly, and they did. A lot of local places closed for a bit. I know the Shack in Forest City closed for about a month, and then they reopened, and their business is doing okay from what I can tell. And a lot of places had to change the way they did things, and in many cases, they met the game. I've had experience with El Micoclan, whatever I can't pronounce the name of it. It's the Mexican restaurant in downtown Forest City on Main Street where Music City Records used to be. And I can't pronounce that Spanish name. I call it El Mico for short. Everybody calls Mi Pueblito, Mi Pubs here, so you know. And Mi Pubs I've had, and they're actually good, still very good. They don't do the family pack that El Mico does. I've heard La Loma and Don Ramon's are doing family packs as well, and they're really good too. So, I have not tried the. I can't think of the barbecue place. He's a friend of mine. It's on Main Street. It's a new one beside the Coop, and I can't think of the name. I'm drawing a blank. Sorry, Tim. But yeah, he's got one. I hadn't a chance to try there yet because my family's kind of picky. But we have tried Fat Tracy's barbecue again. They were really good about a month or so ago. The big chain restaurants are getting into the family pack thing. If you've noticed, Burger King has had family packs. They've got a new one now for $25. You get a bunch of stuff. I think it's like 2 Whoppers, 2 double cheeseburgers, 2 original chicken sandwiches, and a bunch of other things. Drinks, fries, even a cookie. And the great thing is if you do it through the app, which you have to, you can customize that thing. It's actually a pretty good thing to do. Taco Bell has a couple of things. We can take stuff home to make your own tacos at home for $25. You can set your own taco bar up for $25. That's pretty neat. I think KFC's got some stuff. Obviously, they've got their family meals already to begin with, but a lot of places. So what I think is going to happen after the crux of this virus is over with restaurants, they need to adapt to this. You got to pair up with delivery services. Delivery services have to expand locally here, and especially in rural areas. I live out in the boondocks. They're probably never going to come out here. But doing that, now you have to also weigh it between, because I know that one company, I don't know if it was DoorDash or some other company, they charge exorbitant fees. So, yeah, and they may have been doing this to begin with to kind of gouge customers and such. But a lot of places are going to look at going, should we invest in our own delivery service? Because up until the virus, the only way you could get delivery service, up until DoorDash finally came here, the only places that actually delivered were pizza places, Pizza Hut, and that took forever for them to finally deliver here. Domino's and Papa John's. Now in the Tri-Cities area, you can actually get quite a few places that will deliver now, which is pretty cool to have. The second, mobile options. Now, I'm not saying every restaurant should have a mobile app, but if you have somebody that you know that's savvy about creating mobile apps, or if you can do it yourself, or if you have the time to do it, which if you run a restaurant, you probably don't, but if you know somebody that can do it, if I were a restaurant owner right now, I would be seriously looking into getting a mobile app strictly for my business, and maybe even branching that out to a local mobile ordering business where you have kind of an alliance where you don't have to pay the exorbitant fees that you do at other places and such. That's what businesses are going to have to do, because a lot of people like to know what the menus are. This is the thing that trips me out. There are restaurants in this area, and I know we're a small area and such, that still don't have menus online. Not even a picture of their menu online. If I owned a restaurant here, the first thing I would do, or one of the first things I would do, is make sure once I'm about ready to open up, is have a menu pictured on my Facebook page for that business and have all the specials, update it regularly. There are some pretty popular restaurants around here, mom and pop businesses that don't do that. And I'm like, you're missing opportunities here, folks. It's not hurting your business, but it's not helping it either. So capitalizing on this, because it's going to take a while for people to gain confidence in dining out again. And once that happens, it's never really going to go away. Once people get confidence again to dine out, they're going to still feel like, hey, I still like to take out from time to time. I like going to this place, but I don't want to necessarily go out to eat to this place. So the smart restaurateur is going to have that option available still, because it will help them with their business. Because it's going to take, I'd say, a year, maybe a year and a half for places to, once this virus, once we're over the peak and things are back open, we can get back over this. And once again, have people come out and eat, not have to really think about the virus. So takeout is still going to be a very big deal and such. Now, what about delivery? I think if I was a restaurateur, I would definitely make look into delivery options past beyond this pandemic, and not just DoorDash and all that. Because DoorDash, I don't know if it's DoorDash, but one of the big companies that's doing, I don't know if it's Grubhub or whatever, was really gouging restaurants for their prices and such. And I'm like, that's not a way to go. So it would not surprise me in the near future if you had around here locally either a restaurant doing their own delivery service strictly, which I know back in the day when Legal Grounds were still going in downtown Ralston, they used to have a delivery service. It was limited. It was only for like evenings and such. But when I lived in Ralston, I used it occasionally. Really good. I think restaurants will get back to that. And I think it's time they got back to that to a certain degree. And I think that it'll help them out tremendously, especially given the fact that we have a real challenge ahead of us, because it's going to take a long time for us to get back to quote-unquote normal. Let's go to retail now. Now, retailers have been doing a lot of online stuff for a while now, and it's been a very cutthroat business. Yesterday, of course, we all know that JCPenney filed for bankruptcy, and they, I don't know what's going to become of them, if they're going to get bought out by somebody or they're just going to eventually shut the doors, sort of like Sears and Kmart are. And Sears and Kmart are still going. It's just they're dead, but they don't know it yet. I hate to say it, but that's pretty much true. The lesson that can be learned from those businesses that can be applied right now in this pandemic is get online, get in the delivery business, get it there now, because, you know, if you don't do it right now, you're in trouble. Walmart has online grocery delivery here, grocery pickup here, not delivery. although I'm surprised they don't have it yet. That surprises me. They don't have delivery here yet, at least in towns, as we like to call it here. That's got to change. I posted on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page this morning, and about the fact that grocery stores really need to start getting into the pickup and delivery business around here locally if they want to improve their business. And Food Lion is supposed to start looking into that, from what somebody told me. But Ingles and Bi-Lo didn't. He didn't know about Bi-Lo, but he knew Ingles was definitely not. That's a big miss on Ingles' part. I'll tell you why. Remember what I said about the restaurants. It's going to take a while for people to gain confidence again to go out and dine. Same goes with grocery stores. You don't go to a grocery store anymore and take forever. Most people don't. Some people still do, and they're kind of foolish in my opinion. Most people go in, exactly know what they want, get what they want, and get out, okay? Because of this thing. Some may not, I don't know. But it's one of those things in today's busy lifestyle, or the fact that people just don't like grocery shopping. It's a whole lot easier to go on your app and there you go. And just have it delivered at a particular time if you got delivery service, or pick it up at a particular time. Say you're on your way home from work or whatever. That's going to be the key for businesses in the future. And I could see in the near future, and if I had a little grocery store here, that's what I would be doing. Having a little place in the back where if somebody wanted to order some groceries and such, I can just go boom, 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 boom. There you go. You know, take it out to your car, have a delivery service. I mean, that's a lot of, you're paying for extras and such. But the fact, and I think a lot of people would really love this here locally, because back in the day, back the way before my time, you had deliveries from the grocery stores. And that is a very interesting thing because there's a precedent here. Now, it was very small grocery stores and all of that. And yeah, I mean, it's not like this is unusual here. But when the smaller family local grocery stores faded away, and then they were replaced by the supermarkets and such, it stopped. Because, you know, we became a car culture. You know, instead of having them bring it to you, you went there to pick out your stuff because you want to make sure that the produce is right, that you got what you wanted and such. So, but with this pandemic, it's going to change because people are going to get used to the idea of being able to go, hey, I'm busy. I don't want to go into a grocery store and spend an hour, hour and a half, maybe shorter, maybe longer, depending on if you got a big family or you got your kids with you and such, and go in and get your groceries and just have it delivered. Instead of going in and get your groceries, I should say, have them brought out to you and you're done in 5 minutes, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, depending on how business is that day. That's a huge, huge thing, because as time goes on, as old as I am, I'm 49, time is people, it's not so much time as people don't have enough time, it's just that people want to do much more with the same exact amount of time they've got. And that's the problem, is that people want to have more and more and more and more, and businesses here locally, and I dare say nationally, aren't meeting it as fast. And this is where, if you're a small business, maybe not necessarily here, but let's say you're in a city like Charlotte or Atlanta or even Greenville or Spartanburg or Asheville or Greensboro or something like that. If you had the capital to start off with, and you had the knowledge and know-how and the chutzpah, as the Jewish folks like to say, to actually go out there and invest in building a small grocery store where you can get in and get out quickly, but you can get online pickup, online delivery, and that's your heart of your business. Amazon's doing that to a certain degree right now. And their fresh service, which is their grocery service, is, I think, probably making a lot of money right now. And while Jeff Bezos has a lot of critics, including the president, including folks on the left and right, his business is actually doing pretty well right now. And I could see within the next year or so, Amazon Fresh and Amazon warehouses to begin with move towards exploiting small, not exploiting, but they exploit to a certain degree in some way, depending on who you talk to. Getting into smaller and smaller markets, like this county, for example. Amazon could theoretically decide to go into the business, come in here and go, we'll deliver groceries, but we may also partner with other grocery stores and maybe partner with restaurants and such. So there is that. Amazon Fresh is on the horizon. And that Walmart's worried about it, I'm sure. But if I'm Ingles, Food Lion, and Bi-Lo, I definitely am worried about that. And that's instead of thinking it's never going to happen here because we only do small town. Yeah, right. Walmart's worried about Amazon right now. They're scared to death of them. And that's the thing. Why go out to a store and have to, because I used to work at Walmart. In my local area, nobody gets up and gets excited to go to Walmart. It seems almost a chore. Oh, I gotta go to Walmart. So that the idea of one stop to get everything you need wore off a long time ago. And nowadays, it's, hey, if I can order it from Amazon and have it shipped there, I want it. And if they get here locally and they can do it that very day, that's definitely going to hurt Walmart. So I can see in the near future smaller mom and pop businesses coming back to where they give Amazon some competition to where, they can't deliver it as fast as them. They may have the resources, but some may be able to deliver it. And some may not have the selection that Amazon does, but they have the customer service in store. There's a lot of possibilities here that after this pandemic is over with, and I'm not going to speculate when that is, that the businesses in retail businesses are going to have to evolve very quickly because people are going to be staying home. They're going to go, hey, I like staying home. Well, at least I like coming home and after work and not actually have to get out and go do all these chores and such. And there will always be people that are different. There are people who like grocery shopping, who like going out to Walmart and such. And I think there'll always be a place for that. But for many people, including myself, I don't like grocery shopping. I don't like going to Walmart and spending hours browsing the aisles and whatnot. So that definitely will be something to look at in the future. Now let me switch over to something I'm more currently familiar with, and that is manufacturing. Right before I left, they had put into practice, I'm not going to go into detail exactly everything they did, but just pretty much what you'd expect. Before we started in the morning, we would go through a wellness check. They'd ask us questions. If you said yes, answered yes to a particular question, they would send you home, and they would call you to kind of discuss that, and then they just started like a week before I got laid off, the temperature checks, and if you were below 100, I think it is, you stayed. If you were above, you went home and such. And I don't know all the details, and I don't really want to go into too much depth because I'm assuming this is a lot of workplaces are doing this. So this isn't exactly a company's secret I'm giving away here, that what WestRock is doing, because I think Walmart's doing the same thing. as well as a lot of other businesses. But manufacturing is going to have to, manufacturing is all over the place. You've got some businesses that are really booming right now, like with WestRock. When I went up to the interview, the corrugation company was booming. They're hiring people right now. Whereas the company the division I just left, they went from booming to bust in 2 months. Maybe a little bit longer than that. And it's not that they don't have orders, it's just that the orders aren't being shipped out. Because businesses can't do anything about it because people can't shop in the stores, or if they can, they're not really, it's basically not the best of time, and the outlook is not great. Anybody with any sense of the retail business, this is not exactly giving any kind of inside secrets or anything like that, because if you even remotely follow the retail business, you know it's going to be a tough year retail-wise. This Christmas is probably going to be bad, even if the pandemic is over and they find a vaccine and all that. People are still going to be gun-shy going out and shopping. So that's going to happen. Manufacturing, it really depends on the industry. Car manufacturing may suffer for a while because a lot of people are out of work. That goes to also appliances, and then this is not talking about just the United States, this is worldwide as well. And the global economic impact's going to be massive for a while. There's actually literally talk, not just wild, rampant speculation, but serious, sober talk about going into depression right now, an economic depression. And I hadn't heard that talk since 2008 when we had the economic collapse, when the banks started failing and such, and that was a mess. And this makes 2008 look like nothing. And that's the scary part about it. So here's the thing. When the height of the crisis is over with, this is going to take a long time to get over with, but when we're kind of over the peak, when we flatten the curve, so to speak, it's still not going to change for a while. You're still going to have a lot of the same restrictive rules in place. Some places may keep them and never get rid of them, because safety is a very important thing, security is an important thing, and that's to be expected. They call it the new normal. One of my bosses came out to a meeting with my the area I was working at, and basically that was his thing. We're going to change. This is going to be the new normal, and you got to get used to it for the next 12 to 18 months. We all thought, well, hopefully it's not. But looking around at what's going on in manufacturing and retail and restaurants and all other businesses and such, it's going to be here longer than 18 months. The virus may leave. We may find a cure for it, for all I know. But I don't think things are going to change back to the way they were before mid-March of this year. Things are going to stay the way they are for a long time to come. But I'm going to get off manufacturing right now and get to more about tourism. We're a tourism area up in the northern part of the county. North Carolina, there's a lot of places where we're very tourist heavy. As you can imagine, tourism's taken a huge hit. And as we slowly start to open things back up, the tourist industry is going to be really chomping at the bit because they've been hammered. Because right now we're just getting to the peak of the tourist season. And they're knocking at the door at Governor Cooper's office going, open us up, open us up. It's going to be very difficult for them, because even if Governor Cooper gave them what they wanted right now, people are going to be gun shy. People are going to be concerned. People are going to be afraid. And there's nothing wrong with being afraid, because this virus, the way it is you could have it and not know it and give it to somebody that's vulnerable, and that would make you feel guilty. That might also put you in some liability depending on legal things and the laws of your state and such, And let me get to that for a moment. I have a friend who owns a business here, won't mention her name, she knows who she is, that really has been chomping at the bit to open back up, her business back up, it's a small business. And I mentioned in her comments about liability. Let me talk about that for a moment. Now, the problem is with this opening things back up, with this temptation of opening things back up, is that you run the risk of liability if somebody gets sick in your restaurant or gets sick in your because of contacting you. Because somebody's going to, we're a very sue-happy country, let's face it. And we have to be concerned about that. Recently, this past week, there was a restaurant, Carolina Cafe, that chose to try and buck the trend and open up despite the current law. And he was shut down. The police shut him down, basically didn't tell him, it convinced him to shut down. And my thinking was, does he not realize that the legal ramifications of what he's doing? Because let's say I went to that restaurant and I dined in there and God forbid I caught the virus, or I caught the virus, didn't know it, and gave it to somebody in my family and they died. And I knew exactly where I got it. That business owner could be considered liable because he opened up when the state told him not to. And it's legal. The governor does have that power. You may not like it, but he does. The state legislature may not like it, but they can't change it right now because they don't have the supermajority. And I don't think they should. There are situations right now where a governor has to act in an emergency manner. And this is one of those times. Now, if you don't like the law, you can't just break it, in a crisis like this, because A, there's the liability factor, and B, there's the public relations factor. And think about this. It may not affect some of his customers. He's been in the business for a long time, and it may not affect him directly. But it will hurt his business for bringing in people outside of his core group of customers, because they're going to go, why should I go to a place that breaks the law willingly? Yeah, his business is struggling. I understand that. I would love to sit here and say, and have the confidence to say, hey, we can open back up. And we should open it back up right now. I don't have that confidence right now, folks. I don't. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I have confidence that we are ready to go. We're not. I don't. I mean, now, does that mean that they should stay closed? I ideally would like for them to, but I'm a realist as well. We're probably going to see, I think from what I saw the other day, what was it? Fats Cafe in Forest City was shutting down permanently, which, to be honest with you, doesn't really surprise me. They've been getting kind of a lot of bad reviews lately, and their business had been floundering before the pandemic. From what I understand, I hadn't been there for a while. And another business was going to shut down. One of the restaurants chain restaurants was going to shut down or something. I can't remember what it was. I think Denny's Denny's in Spindale. If you're a local, I'm going to get off on a tangent here. I've been to a lot of Denny's back in years ago. The one in Spindale is the only one I've ever had a bad experience with. So, and that was kind of disappointing. So, but the IHOP in Shelby is also reopening, which, from what I understand, their business had been going downhill before the virus. Plus, they're also in that little corner there where Kmart used to be, the Kmart shopping center, and Kmart closed up and they blocked it off. They're renovating it, so their business has struggled anyway. So it may not necessarily entirely been the virus that got these two businesses, but the virus is killing a lot of businesses that probably would have died anyway. But there are going to be businesses that die because of this. And how do you cope with this? Well, you cope with it by innovating. You find ways around your obstacles. A lot of businesses have done that. They've emphasized takeout. They've done curbside service. They've got a delivery service. You innovate. You don't whine about the situations. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, you want your restaurant back open, and you'll email the governor and your local state representative, your state senator and all that. I'm fine with all that for it. You still got to follow the law. You innovate. You get around the obstacles. You find ways to reach your customers. You use your Facebook. You use your Twitter. You use your Instagram. You use your whatever. You get around those obstacles. Stop seeing it as a problem, as much as a problem as an opportunity. Okay, I've got this problem. How do I solve it? You don't sit on your butt emailing your state senator all the time. Yeah, you can send it out there and hope that maybe they'll change their mind, or the facts will change their mind. The virus won't be as bad as you think it is. You innovate. These restaurants that started the family packs, brilliant move on their part. It got them more business. Yeah, you find ways to innovate. That's how things are done in this country. And the one thing we've gotten away from that is except for the technological stuff, the tech companies, there are a lot of places that don't innovate. I could tell you stories about Walmart. I could tell you stories about other places I've worked that had they really had the drive to innovate their businesses, to modernize them, to use technology, they could be doing a heck of a lot better. But we're not used to that. We've gotten in this malaise where, we don't want to invest the money because, we want to minimize expenses to maximize profit. But there's also the saying, you got to spend money to make money. And that's where businesses are struggling right now. Is they don't understand that you have to invest in these things. And there's a risk of it failing. Pure and simple, there's a risk of it failing. But if you don't invest in it, you're going to fail. And this is why restaurants have to take risk. And they've taken, in some cases, they paid off with delivery services. Some restaurants tried it, didn't work out, they stopped. Some did, and they're still doing it. A lot of the places they're doing takeout, they're finding it works. A lot of places that are doing curbside services, it's worked. And they'll probably continue to do that to a degree after this virus is over with, because if that's what the customer wants, you keep giving it to them. Because, hey, it's going to take a while for people to want to go back out to eat on a regular basis like they have been doing, or to go out to your grocery store and do what you've been doing, or go to Lowe's or go to whatever. Because, yeah, Lowe's has been packed, but once this dies down, Lowe's is going to have to realize, look, there's advantages here. Because, if you can order your stuff online, get in there, get out, and go home, that's less work for the customer, the employees. They get the stuff together, they send it out, they make their money. It's perfect in many ways. Businesses have to be careful though with this. They've got it. They can't just throw it out there. And the future of business in America is technology, pure and simple. Whether you're in restauranting or retail or commercial, tourism, whatnot, it's getting the customer what they want, the information what they want on the cell phone, on a tablet, or anything else. That's the key right now. And if you're a small business person and you're not investing in that right now, even if it's just a Facebook page is free, for Pete's sake. And there are local businesses around here, I'm not going to mention any names, that don't do it. And I'm like, why aren't you doing it? You could spend a few minutes, take a picture or two, put it out there. You're running a special, but you don't post it on your Facebook page? Come on, folks. It may not be seen by that many people to begin with, but that's how you grow your business. You grow it both through word of mouth, which always works. That's always going to be the best way to grow a business because people have trust their friends and such, but social media is another good way to do it. You have to weather a lot of storms, though, with that, knowing because word of mouth, if it can be a detraction too. So can social media. But at least put yourself out there, ladies and gentlemen. Put yourself out there. And in the mobile realm, and if you can invest in getting a mobile app for your business, do that. It may not be the fanciest thing in the world. It may be just to point to a mobile website. You can Wix.com or whatever it is. There are affordable ways to do that. You got to innovate, folks. And we've lost that in this country, is innovation to a large degree. There are still companies out there, especially in the tech field, they're still innovating. But it's not to what it was after the post-World War II era when you had things going through the roof and technology going through the roof. I'm old enough to realize, hey, I'd say probably after I graduated high school, 89, things kind of went, evened off. Yeah, the technological stuff boomed, and a lot of things boomed, but not to the degree that it was before. And there are a lot of reasons for that I can't really go into right now, because that would take a long, long time. And I'm just doing this off riffing and all this. But let me wrap this up like this. This is a game-changing moment in our history, in the entire world history, in American history, what have you. We can't go back to pre-coronavirus. We can't go back to a pre-9/11 world. Just like my mom couldn't go back to a before Kennedy assassination world or pre-Watergate world. We have to adapt to the world as it is right now. Not just for ourselves personally. Not just for a political system or a church system or whatever, a religious, whatever you want to call it, but to a business perspective. Because people form habits. And I think they're liking the idea of being able to have these conveniences, of being able to go and still get takeout from the places they love to eat. They got to take it home, and they'd rather eat out that time, but that's still going to be there, and they're going to want to have that. And the smart business person is going to understand that, and they're going to go, how can I capitalize on that? How can I get people that aren't necessarily wanting to come out and get them to still order? And here's the reason. And you're saying, well, if they do that, they're not going to go out to eat as much. What if they still do? What if they eventually get back to eating out to the way they were before then? But they still have that, I want to eat at home, but I want to get, say, a Copper Penny Grill in Forest City. You get it delivered. That helps their business. It's small little incremental things. But small little incremental things will keep going. Now, I'm getting back into the podcast game because I am at work. I need something to do. And I am hopefully, after this interview with Westrock and Marion this week, I'll hopefully get a job up there because I think I got a good shot. I'm still going to do a lot of podcasts. I've talked so much about government and all that. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I think the next podcast we'll do is based upon what it'll be like in sports and entertainment. How that'll change. We no longer look at, after this, I think we're going to realize something we've already known. Athletes are way overpaid. Actors and actresses are way overpaid. We all knew that, but nowadays we realize they shouldn't be held up on the standards that we did. Even though we may have said, oh, we're not going to do that, we still did. I think the entertainment industry and the sports industry are going to go under major changes. And I think the next podcast, which I will do tomorrow, will focus on that. I'm not sure what time yet, but I will say this before I leave you, head out. I am old enough to remember 9/11. I'm old enough to remember what it was like before 9/11. I remember that I was 30 years old when 9/11 happened. I lived long enough to know what life was like, the way it felt, the way... My niece is 18 years old. She does not understand. She can read all the history she wants to. She can read all the facts she wants to. She doesn't understand what it felt like in a pre-9/11 world. Just like I don't understand what it was like to live in a world before Kennedy was assassinated, or before before my mom understood what happened in Pearl Harbor. My mom was 2 when 9/11 when Pearl Harbor happened. So she didn't understand what it was like before World War II. This is that kind of event right now. This pandemic. This is the kind of event right now that changes everything forever, like 9/11 did, like the Kennedy assassination, like Watergate, like Pearl Harbor. It changes everything. And we're struggling right now to adapt to that. Government is definitely struggling with that. No matter what party you believe in, they're struggling with it right now. And that is the challenge for government, for business, for sports leagues, entertainment venues like theaters and whatnot. I need to talk about the drive-ins. Let me do the drive-in theaters for a moment. We used to have one. And I think right now locals here would love to still have it. It unfortunately they closed for about 20 years, and it sat basically falling apart. Finally, somebody bought the property. They're tearing it down. They're going to make, I think the last I heard, they were going to make it as the location of a storage building place where you can store stuff and all that. If I had the money, I would find some way to make a drive-in theater somewhere in a big field or whatever, or some kind of way where you could have a portable screen. You get food trucks and whatnot, because Sunset Drive-In in Shelby just reopened this weekend. Hounds in Kings Mountain, I think it is, has been open for a while. They've stayed open. So, yeah, I think you could see a renaissance of the drive-in theater. I think you see a renaissance of a whole lot of outdoor things, frankly, in all of this. And we're going to see ball games come back open. It'll start slow and such. I think that's a good thing. High school football get more attention. You may see where people, instead of all being in the stands, are going to be spread all the way around the track and all that. And, it'll still be that kind of atmosphere. It's going to take a while. But here's the thing. So many people are looking at this as a problem only. They're not also looking at it as an opportunity. And the smart ones are looking at it as an opportunity. Not to take advantage of people so much as to innovate to where it helps the customer as well as themselves. So for the high schools, how do you generate the revenue to fund like football games do? You find ways to assure people that it will be safe to go to the football games, that you can still have social distancing, you can still stay 6 feet apart and sanitize and all this stuff. It's going to take a while. There's going to be some bumps. There's going to be some spikes and all that. We may very well see things close back down again for a while if it gets really out of hand. This is virgin territory. But there's opportunities here, folks. Opportunities abound. But, I think I've said all I wanted to say. So I think tomorrow I'm going to do that about sports, and I've touched on some sports in a couple of the podcasts I've done, but this is going to be the big one about how sports, the leagues, the networks, and whatnot are going to have to adapt to this. The entertainment industry is going to have to adapt to this. I really think you're going to see a lot of the big money projects be shelved for a while, and you're going to have to see a lot of small, inexpensive movies that you're going to have to innovate. You're not going to see the big time special effects for at least a couple of years, maybe a while. So enjoy the big blockbuster movies while you can, because it's going to be a while, because they involve a lot of people working in confined spaces, tight spaces, at least considering the pandemic we're going through. So I'm going to let you go for right now. I'm going to let the live crowd go for right now on my Facebook. We will see you tomorrow. Goodbye for now. And for you folks on my Spreaker account, I hope you have a great good evening. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And as we always like to say here, good night, good luck, and may the good news be yours.